Sometimes it feels like every hero is a genius in comics, but just because they're smart doesn't mean they sit at genius or even super genius level. So, who are some of the smartest heroes? Welcome back, Nerd Squad. It's me, Amanda, and we are here to answer that question in regards to Marvel Comics today anyways, as we count down the top 10 smartest Marvel superheroes. Number 10, Spider-Man. Oddly enough, not a lot of people think of Spider-Man when they think Marvel superhero geniuses, but he really is just that. Peter is actually wicked smart. Oftentimes when people make the assumption that Peter's webs are organic, when that really is only true of some of the Spider-Man versions and is only something that has happened to Peter in the main continuity sporadically, it's because they forget just how smart he is. Yes, Peter is sweet, kind, and sometimes teeters on the edge of falling completely apart, but there's more to him than just that. He's not only got a kind heart, but he also has a great brain, hence how he was able to create his web shooters to begin with, and also hence his love of academics and science. Peter isn't just your average smarty either in the Marvel universe, no siree. He has been considered one of the great intellectual minds, rubbing elbows with the likes of Reed Richards, Iron Man, Black Panther, and Bruce Banner. And friends, before we move on to our next spot on this list, if you love what we do here at Top 10 Nerd, be sure to head on over and check out our Marvel playlist for even more content like this. Number 9, Black Panther. One of the saddest things in terms of things we missed out on with Chadwick Boseman's live-action adaptation of Black Panther, T'Challa, who was taken from us far too soon, is that we missed out actually on the intellectual sides of that character. Now, while T'Challa is a brilliant tactician, a noble ruler, a determined athlete, resourceful and skillful as a warrior, he is actually also a genius in the comics. And I don't just mean diplomatically. He was one of the few who was smart enough to see the problems with the Illuminati when he was initially invited to join due to his vast intellect, influence, and power. Despite being invited, at first he refused, believing that a group of geniuses coming together to call the shots because they thought they knew better than everybody else was overall a really bad idea. And for the most part, he was kind of right about that one. Number 8, Shuri. In the MCU, at one point, Shuri was referred to as the smartest person on the planet. When she was just a teenager, Shuri was already one of Wakanda's greatest minds, becoming one of their lead scientists and working on designs for advancements and technological inventions that greatly improved the lives of her people, while also helping to ensure their secrecy and safety as a nation, shielding the truth of their power to protect them against the rest of the world. Number 7, Professor Hulk. What do you think of when you think of Hulk? A brute? Someone who smashes first and asks questions later? In fact, when the Hulk was first introduced in the 1960s, that was what we believed Bruce Banner's alternate identity to be. Hulk has always represented sort of a lack of control for Bruce, a bit of a monster who feels alienated and terrorized because of the way that he looks and acts. In the first issue of the Avengers from the 1960s, even his teammates do not question what they believe is the Hulk's terrorizing behavior. Granted, this ends up being a trick of Loki's, but still, it goes to show you that this type of behavior was and is expected of the Hulk. What was unexpected in the comics was when Marvel decided to create a version of the Hulk that actually merged two very different sides of that character, the intellect of Bruce Banner and the strength of the Hulk. This version also helps to balance out more than just either side, but creates a version of Banner and the Hulk that is more self-assured and confident, not shy, and helps Banner to deal with issues of self-loathing, often representing a more balanced and compassionate sense of self. A lot of people think of Bruce Banner as being a super genius, and while Bruce is really smart, I will give you that, and probably one of the most knowledgeable scientists around when it comes to gamma radiation, Amadeus Cho definitely gives him a run for his money. Declared as being one of the most intelligent people on the planet, Amadeus Cho for a time was also the Hulk after figuring out a way to basically transfer Banner's radiation, which would actually cure him from his Hulk affliction, which Banner for a while was actually really happy about. You see, Amadeus is also more emotionally balanced than Banner, so he also made for a less angry, albeit slightly less powerful as such, Hulk. Number 5, Iron Man. Recently, Iron Man helped to rebuild a Celestial. If that doesn't make him worthy to earn his spot on this list, I do not know what does. Known for being a genius inventor who understands robotics and machines better than probably almost anyone else on the face of the planet, Tony Stark is a super genius. Generally, if you want something built, especially if it's mechanical, he is the guy you gotta go to. Number 4, Valeria Richards. I'm a little tired of Valeria getting snubbed in the comics. For those who are unfamiliar, Valeria is the younger sister sister of Franklin Richards, who initially was kind of his older sister. It's timey-wimey and a bit complicated when it comes to these siblings' history and age difference, but currently Valeria is now the younger of the two, so that's where we're at right now. While Franklin was initially believed to be a mutant possessing reality warping powers, later revealed to be just a superhuman with reality warping powers which were going wonky and slipping away, Valeria is literally just a human. But while she doesn't exactly have superpowers per se, she does possess super smarts. Super smarts that are believed to have the potential to rival even her father, Mr. Fantastic's genius, later in her life. In fact, she's even occasionally been implied to be on a similar level to her dad. And when it came to the life rafts that Reed created for people to take refuge in during the incursions, it was actually kind of Valeria's prompt that sparked the idea for Reed to even build those, when Valeria suggested that beating the incursions might not be a good or even possible solution to the problem of mass multiversal destruction, which was what the incursions were causing at the time. Number 3. Ant-Man. Hank Pym might not be held quite so high in regard in comparison to some other superheroes. He has struggled in his vigilante career. He created Ultron, had to deal with mental illness, realizing that he was actually probably bipolar, severe marital issues, and much more. But at the same time, some of the most brilliant folks do tend to have some of the greatest struggles. And for Ant-Man, more than maybe anyone else on this list perhaps, that is very much true. Whatever your opinion of Hank as a character or hero though, you have to acknowledge his brilliance and his genius. I think the thing that impresses me the most about him is that he's not often confined to a specific scientific field. Hank kind of spreads himself out a little bit more in that regard. Well known for his Pym particles, which can be used to change a person's size, making them as small as a molecule or as big as a skyscraper, Hank also happens to be a specialist in multiple fields, including physics, specifically subatomic physics, programming, AI, robotics, entomology, cybernetics, robotics, and more. Number 2. Moon Girl. It isn't always easy being super smart. Moon Girl is an interesting superhero who also comes with her very own dinosaur pal, Devil Dinosaur. Not only is little Lunella Lafayette brilliant, but she can also swap consciousnesses with Devil Dinosaur, an oddly specific but super powerful ability. Moon Girl is part of the Inhuman lineage and gained her abilities after undergoing Terrigenesis. Aside from that, she is also a super genius and, despite her young age, is likely one of the most brilliant and gifted minds in the Marvel Universe. Being a super genius from a young age, she's also often identified as a kind of oddball her entire life, something I think a lot of us can relate to. In fact, she was super nervous about undergoing Terrigenesis because of this. Although at this point she has embraced her weirdness, she was worried that this would actually just be another thing that would make her stand out more at the time and turn her into even more of a freak than she already was. Aw, Lunella. Number 1. Mr. Fantastic. Mr. Fantastic is probably considered to be the smartest superhero we currently have in all of the Marvel multiverse. Oftentimes when somebody has a puzzle that they need to be solved, they come to Mr. Fantastic, hoping he can help them figure it out, especially if it's something in the realm of science. Mr. Fantastic is often the one left to try and solve some of the world's greatest problems and mysteries, and for the most part, he's actually got a pretty good track record of actually solving those things. When it came time to rebuild the multiverse after Doom had taken it over during the 2015 Secret Wars, Reed was the one who set out to rebuild everything, tweaking things here and there to improve them. Granted, he did have help from the Beyonder, his family, and especially his, at the time, reality warping son Franklin, but even Doom ended up agreeing that Reed could actually do a better job at remaking the multiverse than he himself ever could. And Doom himself is a pretty smart and pretty capable man, so that's saying a lot. That's about it. Until next time, you stay nerdy, YouTube.